My name is Lee, and I am the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Manager at the Laboratory of Medical Sciences. You may also hear us refer to it as MRC LMS. And we are so excited to be launching our new Emerging Innovators Postdoctoral Fellowship Programme, and that will be hosted with us in London at the LMS. So before we begin, I just wanted to draw your attention to the Q&A feature on Microsoft Teams, and you can submit your questions throughout the live webinar by clicking on the two speech bubbles in the toolbar at the top of the screen, and we will answer all of your questions at the end of the webinar. Our agenda for today, so we'll first introduce you to the Laboratory of Medical Sciences and the Black and Biomedical Research Advisory Group, who are working together to deliver this really exciting fellowship opportunity. And then we will detail how to apply for this opportunity and answer your questions submitted throughout the webinar. And I will now hand over to Professor Wiebke Arts, Director of the MRC Laboratory of Medical Sciences, Head of Imperial College's Institute of Clinical Sciences, and Honorary Consultant Endocrinologist at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Birmingham, to hear more about life at the LMS. Thank you, Wiebke.
Okay, I unmuted myself. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, and this is just like a brief introduction to the LMS for you. Yeah, the LMS, the Laboratory of Medical Sciences, is one of two national research institutes that are funded by the Medical Research Council. And our mission is to understand the mechanisms of disease that affect people. And we are very committed to have a comprehensive look at those items that are really relevant nowadays. So our priority areas look, for example, at the impact of the environment on health and mechanisms that underlie health. We are committed to look at the impact of sex differences on mechanisms that underlie health and disease. And we are very interested in the impact of the life course on the development of health and disease. Yeah, this includes like looking at diseases that affect the early life, early development before you are born, and also in childhood. And we have a major interest also in aging and the mechanisms that relate to aging, like cardiometabolic disease and chronic inflammation. And we are very committed to go really new ways of working together. So we are not just like a collection of individuals, but the Institute is a big team consisting of 35 research groups, and in total we have 400 research scientists and operational staff, and you see many of them here in our staircase at one of our whole institute meetings. And it is very important for us to have, for this new team science approach, people who come together from different disciplines, from different perspectives, and with different backgrounds. Yeah, so like diversity is an absolute underlying principle. Yeah, so we are very encouraging and have several programs, for example, for people who are first in their family to go to university, and bring their perspectives into the research. Yeah, there are very large questions we tackle, and this is why we are an institute and therefore have long-lasting funding to tackle really major questions underlying human health and disease. And it is therefore important that we have many different people who bring their unique experience to us. And this is the idea, the underlying idea of the Emerging Innovator Fellowship, really. Yeah. So it is for people who have done their PhD in a discipline that is relevant to biomedical research, and who are motivated to join us in our fantastic new building on the Hammersmith Hospital campus in West London, where we have all scientific facilities required for really absolutely cutting edge research. So we would be exciting if you consider us. This can be your first or your second postdoctoral experience. And when you go to our website, you will find the description of our 35 research groups and you can hopefully will find a group heads that will inspire you to spend a postdoctoral training period with you. We also encourage research that goes across several themes. So that means you can also pick 2 different, or in some cases, people have 3 different postdoctoral mentors. Yeah, so very much looking forward to this and to your questions. Many thanks. So I hand over to Amaka.
Okay. Sorry, Lee. I thought you were going to say something, but that's fine. Let me just share my screen. So I'm Professor Amaka Ofia, and I'm from the University of Sheffield. I'm a member of the Black in Biomedical Research Advisory Group, which I've been calling BBRAG, but I heard somebody, and I prefer it, I think it was Nick Farmer, say last week, BRAG, and that's a much easier term to use. So the BBR, the background is that it was formed to advise the Medical Research Council, particularly to help sort of address the underrepresentation that there is in this country of researchers in the biomedical science field from Black heritage backgrounds, to try and improve the number of us with a funding portfolio from MRC and UKRI, and particularly, as I say, within biomedical sciences. The initiative has £3.7 million over 3 years, and it was approved by the MRC Executive Board, the Strategy Board and Council, and there are approximately 20 members in the advisory group. Here we are. I think there are a few names missed off. These are the academics in the BBR on the BBR advisory board. I remember, I think we were asked to submit registrations of interest in 2022. And so there were many more submissions apparently than they had space for. So huge honor to be a member of this. And the additional numbers are made up by members of the MRC, and I have these attend our meetings, and apologies to anybody who's been left off of this list. It's my own oversight. And it's co-chaired by Professor Bernardini Idowu and Professor Franklin Agbero. And we tend, at our meetings, what we try and do is advise the MRC on EDI-related issues that we face. Obviously, we all have our own lived experiences that we can contribute to the discussion. We want to enhance the MRC's understanding of the activities, particularly within the whole complex landscape of trying to maneuver academia, but trying to maneuver through academia as a person of color, and who's facing overt racism and microaggressions. We want to offer strategic advice to support the development of evidence-based actions. We also have this belief that the types of research that are funded and the research ideas would be enhanced and promoted by having us Black scientists to put forward the sorts of ideas. So we want to provide advocacy and a loud voice for EDI-related matters, and it's a two-way conversation. The MRC representatives on the board feed back to MRC, and then MRC feeds back to us via the representatives on the board. We have 7 major objectives, and I'll just quickly go through those for you. So objective 1 is to provide additional opportunities for up-and-coming scientists, Black scientists, to observe MRC boards and panels and to gain reviewer experience. Objective 2 relates to funding a pilot conference and summer lab internships for Black students at the University of West London. And in fact, we have that starting. That's being led by Bernardine Idowu, Professor Idowu. And she has funding for 2 years to run a summer school this summer and next summer. Certainly this year is going to be based in London, but hopefully by next year it will be she will be able to attract students from further afield. Objective 3 then is working in partnerships with the Laboratory of Molecular Biology to develop a fellowship scheme, for Black researchers. This was actually put in place slightly before BRAG was formed, and it's a pilot, 2 fellows funded across 3 years to complete their fellowships. Objective 4 relates to providing funding for school outreach organizations, and that's focused on pre-university students. And in fact, the organizations that we're concentrating on are Leading Roots and Into Science UK. Objective 5 is really an extension of Objective 3 from the previous slide, and it's essentially today's event, investigating and expanding the extension beyond LMB to other institutions, LMS today, investigating the development of MRC fellowship schemes for Black researchers. Objective 6 is about developing a proposal for MRC funding to support the James Lind Association, and that's focused on health inequalities impacting Black communities. And it pleases me to say that actually that was launched last week, 31st of March. Chopel Wolfs and Melanie Etty are the doctors really sort of spearheading this. The launch event itself was chaired by Professor Ade Adebajo. There are about 30 of us present, and it was a huge success and very well received. The project that they're concentrating on initially relates to asthma and chest conditions in the Black population. And then Objective 7, our final objective, investigates developing a UK-Europe version of the highly successful American annual biomedical conference for minoritized scientists. And again, wonderful to say that that happened from the 31st of March to the 1st of April, the inaugural conference. Never been one such like that in this country before. And we had many interesting lectures, but really proud to say that Professor Keith Fenton was there. He gave a wonderful, wonderful speech. And I think really you can see we're doing a lot. And that's why I quite like the idea of calling it BRAG. It's not that we're boasting, it's to say that actually BRAG is achieving some wonderful things, and hopefully we will be promoting the research portfolios and enhancing your experiences as Black researchers in this country. And if you need to make any inquiries, that's the email that you might contact. Nick Farmer is here today as well. He will be able to take and probably answer your questions better than I, particularly from the MRC perspective. And yeah, nothing left to say, but thank you.
And just to echo my thanks to Professor Amaka Afia. So just to say as well, she's taken the time as Professor of Pediatric Musculoskeletal Imaging at the University of Sheffield. She's an honorary consultant pediatric radiologist as well, and she's kindly taken the time to speak with us today. So thank you so much for giving us such a stellar introduction to the work that BRAG and you all do. It's really, really amazing. We're now going to talk a little bit more about the fellowship itself and really show you how you can apply and go into the nitty-gritty of the application process. So the Emerging Innovators Fellowship is a 3-year postdoctoral fellowship opportunity for researchers of Black heritage. And as Vibeke mentioned earlier, you may be seeking your first or your second postdoctoral position. We do ask that you've completed a PhD by March or April of this year, and you should be either UK domiciled, or if you aren't UK domiciled, you'll have studied in the UK for a degree or a PhD. So for us, the link to the UK is really important. And applicants will be applying to work within one, or if in some circumstances, if appropriate, across a couple of our research groups. And team science is really important to us in the spirit of collaboration. So we're very excited to be able to offer that opportunity. And this is just to show you a couple of our research groups at the LMS, to show you the real range of the science that we do here. We do have over 30 research groups, so please do go to our website and explore those different groups available. and contact us at the email address provided at the end of the slide deck to have an introduction with one of our group leaders. They are very happy to talk to you about their research, so please don't be scared to get in touch. And here are just some of the benefits that you can expect throughout your time at the LMS. So I really wanted to draw your attention to the bespoke one-to-one and group coaching support that we'll have available for fellows on the Emerging Innovators Fellowship, as well as the fact that your research consumables are all provided. We also have things like our annual postdoc and institute retreats, which are really great opportunities to network and meet other like-minded people. And we also have things like our excellent holiday entitlement, defined benefit pension scheme. There's a lot of value to becoming a researcher, and particularly a postdoctoral researcher with us at the MRC LMS. And here is just a visual of the application process. So the applications opened on the 3rd of April, and they'll close to applicants on the 11th of May 2025. So to complete your application, you'll need to download the submission pack from the LMS Emerging Innovators Fellowship webpage. And if you go onto the webpage, you'll be able to see it in the dark blue box on the top left of your screen. And this details the 3 documents that you'll need to upload to the application portal. At this point, you can consider contacting us to reach out to any group heads that you're interested in working with. And this will really help you understand how your research could fit into their scientific group to stand you in the best stead when you're submitting your application. And you'll then complete your application and submit it on our recruitment platform. I'll go over in a little bit more detail in a minute, just about where to attach those different documents and what they look like as well. At this point, a panel will then assess eligible applications, and candidates will be shortlisted for an informal pre-interview discussion with their chosen group heads. And this will be a very informal conversation to just include ideas about the kind of work that you want to do here, your research journey so far, and how you'll fit within the wider scientific group. And at this point, each group head will select one candidate to proceed to the project proposal and interview stage. And those shortlisted candidates will develop a research proposal with their chosen group head. And this will detail the research that you'd like to conduct with us at the MRC LMS, and will form the basis of the scientific presentation that you'll give at interview. So more information about this stage will be provided to shortlisted candidates. And the interview will take place at the LMS building in West London, where candidates will be able to meet key contacts at the Institute, see our state-of-the-art laboratories and our excellent building. An online interview option will be made available for candidates who aren't able to travel to come and visit us at the LMS. And at that point, successful candidates will be offered the role and the start date will be determined. And this is just to show you what the submission pack looks like when you download it from our webpage. It's a Word document that contains the 3 elements that you'll need to submit on our recruitment platform. So there are 3 different places you can download this from, either the webpage, the job description, or the fellowship brochure as well, which is posted on our webpage. You can see that there are 3 elements that you'll need to submit. So there is the CV, the screening document, and what we are calling the scientific cover letter. And please do look at this carefully. It isn't a normal cover letter, and this will all be detailed in the submission pack. But just to show you that this isn't a standard cover letter, so please do answer the 6 questions that are detailed. We've also included examples and prompts about how you might want to answer each of these questions, just to give you a bit of an indicator about the kinds of information that we're really looking for with this cover letter. And this is just a quick screenshot from our recruitment platform, so you can see where you can submit your CV. We do have some details about how to create a scientific CV in our submission pack if that's something that you'd like to follow. But if you have a pre-existing CV, please don't hesitate to use that instead. We aren't picky. You can attach your scientific covering letter in the section titled Covering Letter, and then your screening document in the any other portion, which is also found in the submission pack. I'm aware we have thrown a lot of information at you today, and if there are any questions from our Q&A, we can go through them now, but if you are not wanting to submit any questions now, you can submit any future questions to us, and the email address is provided on the slide there, but I will also read it out. So it is peopleandculture@lms.mrc.ac.uk, and you can also find that email address on our webpage too. I don't think we currently have any questions from the floor. I will give it a couple of minutes just in case. But if nobody does have any questions, feel free to exit the webinar as and when you're wanting to. Please do use the Q&A feature to ask your questions if possible. Yeah, so we've got a question about the recording. So the recording will be provided. We will have it hosted on our webpage. If you do have any issues accessing the recording, please send us an email. We'll be able to send it to you in a downloaded version. So I've just had a question about, can you submit an application if your submission date is September? So it does depend on your specific circumstances, so do feel free to contact us. We would ideally expect fellows to be starting towards the autumn, so if there's anything that would delay your submission date, it might be quite tricky if you're still waiting to submit or waiting to hear about the status of your PhD. But yeah, please do send us an email and we'll be able to pick that up on an individual basis. Had a question, how long would the fellowships be funded for? So the fellowships will be funded for 3 years initially. As with all of our postdoc positions at the LMS, there is a potential to extend that if your group leader would like you to continue working with them, and actually if your project just needs a couple of months or there's anything else that you'd be wanting to work with us on at the LMS, but it's 3 years initially. Is there any scope with researchers for collaboration with researchers outside of the LMS? So these fellowships are hosted primarily within the LMS, so we would expect your group leader to be an LMS group head. A lot of our researchers do collaborate with other institutes. We do have partnerships with a variety of different universities and institutes globally, as well as in the UK. So if there was a sort of particular collaboration that you're interested in as part of your fellowship, but not the primary sort of group that you'd be working within, then there's definitely potential to explore that, but it will very much be on a case-by-case basis. Can you please confirm where we can get the submission materials? So yeah, you can find the submission materials on our webpage. So if you go to LMS MRC, our webpage, you'll be able to find the Emerging Innovators Fellowship under Work and Study, and that will have all of the details of everything that you need for the submission materials. I can also quickly post a hyperlink into where your question is as well, just for ease of access. So I've got a question about the PhD completion between March and April, and asking whether completion is a viva or a PhD submission. So we need your PhD certificate basically to confirm that you are eligible for this post. So if you have that by that time, that will help us process your start date and your application as quickly as possible. If you do have sort of a specific circumstance, please do send us a message and we'll see if it's something that we could work with. But that's sort of individual case-by-case basis. But yeah, we're expecting people to have completed their PhD by the time that they'd start with us. I think that's it from the questions that I have. If there are any further questions, please do send us an email at the email address on screen currently, and we're more than happy to answer. We're happy to get in touch for an informal chat at any point if there's anything further that you need from us. But thank you so much for—
There is one more question, I think.
Oh, there's one more question. Which question is that?
I think it's just a question if somebody passed their
February this
their
year.
Viva in February, am I qualified to apply? Because obviously it doesn't mean you need to qualify exactly between March and April. It means by April would be ideal. But as Lee says, if you have certain circumstances and you will definitely graduate soon, then please contact us. Don't rule yourself out. Yeah. So the decisions will be made on the qualifications of the individual and their motivation and their fit of the science. Yeah. So don't rule yourself out, but apply.
Thank you, Vika. Great.
If we still have a few minutes, Lee, then at least I can show them a few images from the institute or so.
Yeah,
and then they can think of further question if I think because we are still within our time frame, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Thank you, Vika.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So like sort of then I show you a little bit live images. If I share successfully, let's see what happens. Let me see. Share window. Can you see that?
We can indeed.
Exactly. So like sort of, I just thought I'd show you a few images from the institute, and that's actually a drone flight to our institute. So we are on the Hammersmith Hospital campus, which you see in the back in West London, yeah, just opposite the White City campus of Imperial College. And and as I told you, the key thing for us is to combine fundamental discovery science of excellence with clinical and experimental medicine. This is why our institute is also placed on a hospital campus, so that we can have easy access to clinicians, both for training and for collaboration on human-based research. Yeah, and I show you some photos. You have seen the website already that Lee showed you, that these are several of the research groups in the building that you could join. And as Lee says, like you should choose 1 or 2 group heads as your postdoctoral mentors, but obviously they collaborate nationally and internationally, and additional collaborations can always build in according to your scientific requirements. Yeah, and our building has been only recently opened. We currently have 32 research groups, are recruiting 3 more shortly. And these are pictures from our opening party when the Princess Royal came to open our building last year. And so these are our 3 missions. This is all around team science. Yeah, we want to understand new mechanisms that underlie human health and disease. One of our other major missions is really to develop the translational scientists of the future, and that would involve you. So that means that you would be interested in mechanisms of human disease, human health and disease, that will then also help at some point to translate into clinical practice. And for this, we have lots of young clinician scientists also training at our institute that would interact with you. And we also have closeness to the Imperial College medical faculty. And thirdly, our mission is to drive transformative innovation. Yeah, so to find new things that really transform what we can do about health and disease. And as I told you, we are very much into aging and multimorbidity, including inborn early disease. And these are our priority areas again: cell identity across the life course, early development and aging, gene-environment interaction, how our nutrition, our temperature, and so on in the world impacts our genes and our health. And very importantly, sex differences in biology and disease, because in particular with regard to women, this is often massively under-researched, both when using models like murine models or human research. Team science is critical for us, and team science is also underpinned by all our facilities, which you see here and which you have described in detail also on our website, and obviously Lee will provide you with the links for this. team science means that people from very different backgrounds and very different disciplines come together really and also have fun together. And we work across all different groups to develop the projects for this, and you can also give meaningful input in our overarching team science project, which is on aging and sex differences as they are relevant to aging. So we want to move away from hero science like it was in the old times, but we want to do team science. This is our modern concept. And here you see again a view of our building, the LMS, which has a fantastic view over London and lots of meeting rooms. And here you see our website address again, and also our blue sky link. Please follow us and some views of our building. Many thanks.
That, Wiebke, that's wonderful, and it's given an opportunity for a couple of other questions to come through, so really appreciate the overview of the LMS. We've just had, how often does this fellowship program take place, and is it open to PhD candidates that are currently enrolled in their PhD studies in the future? So this is the first year that we will be running this fellowship, and it will hopefully be the first of many years that we have this fellowship. So if you are interested in future cohorts, please do get in touch. We would love to hear from you. And in terms of help with the application, we're more than happy to be contacted. We can answer any questions that you might have throughout the process. The fellowship is for single application. Yeah.
There's a question about time limit from when you pass your PhD to applying.
So there is no time limit as such, like this is a possibility for somebody doing their first postdoctoral experience or their second postdoctoral experience. It needs to fit with your scientific development so that you can tell us about it in your scientific cover letter.
Thank you, Wiebke. We've also given an opportunity on the application form if there has been a gap between completing your studies and you seeking a postdoctoral position. We do give you the opportunity to tell us about that and tell us what kind of work that you've been doing in the meantime. And yeah, so there's no time limit. So we've got a question on publication record. So how important is publication record to the application? As this is a fellowship geared towards early career researchers, could a lower number of publications still be successful? Definitely. And also we do acknowledge that there's going to be a difference in publication record depending on whether you're seeking your first or your second postdoctoral position. So absolutely. And we're also considering other outputs of scientific achievement as well. So publication, yes, it's important. However, we're also looking to things like conference presentations and other measures of scientific output as well. So you will be able to write about that in your application.
Just to add to this, I think this is really important because often in your PhD, your publication may come out after your PhD is completed. Yeah, so don't think because your paper is not out yet, you cannot apply. Yeah, because you may have it on bioRxiv, or you can give us a draft, or you can tell us about what your paper will be about. That is completely accepted for people who are just completing their PhD. So again, the rule is don't rule yourself out. Yeah, like leave this to us.
Yeah. I have a question. I'm not applying, but I'm curious to know what is the actual selection process going to be?
Yeah, so we have a tiered selection process. So the first part of the selection will be matching the group leaders to the candidate and just checking that that scientific fit is there. And then the second part will be the candidate to interview. So we anticipate that each group leader will sort of have their preferred candidate by that point after informal conversations with them to be able to put forward to interview. If, for example, a number of groups have a particularly high volume of candidates and other groups do not have any candidates, it might be the situation that one group leader is putting forward a couple of candidates. But it really depends on the breadth of applicants that we have. And yeah.
And obviously, we don't expect that all 35 group leaders will have a candidate potentially. Yeah, like sort of, but the people will be interested in certain areas. There's one question: do you also consider candidates coming from molecular plant sciences, or you just focus on biomedical sciences only? Yeah, that's an important question from my own experience, because actually I did my postdoctoral period together with a molecular plant scientist in a research group in the US, and he only wanted to become a plant scientist, and I was a clinician scientist. But after we worked together for 3 years, he actually decided to do biomedical research, and he is now a professor of translational cancer genomics and a European Research Council advanced grant holder. Yeah, like sort of you can come from molecular plant science, but you need to be interested in what it would mean to human health and disease, what you are researching on. If you look in our institute, we have a fantastic researcher who just won the top 35 under 35 award from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Karen Sarkisian, and he actually has done his own spin-out company on glowing plants. So check him out, yeah. And his research is very relevant to human health and disease, because he tells me that plants are the simplest organisms you can genetically modify and manipulate, and therefore he uses them to create synthetic chromosomes. Yeah, check out Karen Sarkisian if you're a molecular plant scientist and would like to come to our institute.
Thanks, Vivka. And we've just had another question as well, saying how many successful applicants will there be? So there'll be 2 places in this first year that we're running this programme. Okay, I think that's it from the questions that I have. I don't know if my Q&As are updating as frequently as anyone else's. So if any of my colleagues see any other questions before I close this, please alert me. But thank you so much for your time, everyone. We really, really appreciate it. And if you do have any further questions, please do get in touch. As all of my colleagues on the call today have reiterated, we really want to hear from you. So please don't rule yourselves out early. Please get in touch with us if you have any questions and if there's any support that we can give throughout the application process. So thank you very, very much for joining us today. And we hope to read your application soon. Thank you.